Alright, folks, we are back to the Security and Fraud chapter, part 2, chapter 7, and we are now working on the information security problem. The drivers of electronic commerce security problem is the internet's vulnerable design. I've covered this in the previous video. I'm just recapping. The domain name system, the IP address, and the shift to profit induced crimes, all of these collectively, and many more problems like these, they bring about challenges to electronic commerce security. Internet underground economy is the e-markets for stolen information made up of thousands of websites that sell credit card numbers, social security numbers, other data such as number of bank accounts, social network IDs, passwords, and much more. Okay, if you've ever seen a message in which you had to enter bank account information or any kind of serious sensitive private data that you had to enter on the website, and you were given this message on the screen that says we pledge not to share any information to third party people, or we do not do this, we do not do that, we promise not to share anything, your email address, your information is going to stay private with us, not even for research or survey purposes, we're not going to use it anywhere. Okay, and those are the kind of services that are actually not always, but this is how you know that they're authentic and they're trying to save you, protect your privacy. Okay, companies and there are many fraud websites which take your information and they just say thank you, and then your information is gone. And then how many times we've heard of cases of identity theft in which a person completely wipes out another person and assumes a new identity of that person and has their own their credit information, their bank information, everything they have. And it's like a disaster going on. People do share things from each other, and it's a very, very serious and notorious issue that is very hard to control. So, and then there is an entire business of such talented hackers who run their lives who have earned their living through selling and buying personal data of other people. Keystroke logging is a method of capturing, recording user keystrokes. Another method is, if you want to capture somebody's information from their computer, you just install a software that will record every single keystroke at that person, and it is documented, and the person receives it in an email or some kind of a messaging system, and the person knows whatever the other person who is being spied upon has been typing or writing down. Pretty shady and dark and pretty repulsive, but it does happen in the world, and this is what the dark world of cybercrime looks like. And unfortunately, electronic commerce business is the most targeted sites for such crimes. So you have to watch out for crimes like these. The dynamic nature of electronic commerce systems and the role of insiders. Why is an electronic commerce security strategy needed? The computer security strategy dilemma is continuously updating, continuously changing. Just like I mentioned in the beginning, you solve one problem, you solve one security issue, another security issue arises, and you have to combat that. So it's like a never-ending vicious cycle. But the best you can do is keep upgrading your security controls on your website frequently, regularly. Basic security terminology. You need to understand all of this. This is very important. Business continuity plan, a plan that keeps the business running after a disaster occurs. Each function in the business should have a valid recovery capability plan. For example, if your site is down and you have customers who have events coming up and they need to place an order, what would you do? I mean, if it was scrumptious indulgence, I would send out email to everybody. I would tell everybody that the site is down, there's some problem going on, and if they have any questions, any kind of orders that they need to make, they can call me at this number or email me. or WhatsApp me. Alternative methods of being in touch with each other. You could also inform that on the Facebook or the social media page that, hey, everybody, you need anything, just ask us here because the website is not working right now. You have to be in touch with your customers to let them know that there's a disaster or some kind of a breakdown going on, and you're still there. Okay, you're still functional, business is still on as usual. Cybercrime is that's called business continuity plan. Okay, very, very important plan, and you should have that backup in your mind. Cybercrime is intentional crimes carried out on the internet. Okay, we've heard about that, we know what that is. Cyber criminal is a person who intentionally carries out crimes over the internet. Exposure is the estimated cost, loss, or damage that can result if a threat exploits a vulnerability. So, what's an exposure? It's the estimated cost, loss, or damage that can result if a threat exploits a vulnerability, which means the checks that you have at certain points of your website, what kind of exposure you have there. Like, what will happen if the security at that particular point is compromised? You have to have that jotted down and listed. Depending on your company, you will have different kind of exposures. Fraud, any business activity that uses deceitful practices or devices to deprive another of property or other rights. That's fraud. Okay. Most of the fraud activities happen through malicious software or spyware. Espionages, that's what we're talking about. All of these are fraud activities, criminal activities that you use to get or steal other people's data and then sell it or use it for your own purpose. Malware is malicious software, a generic term for malicious software. Okay, and this could be anything. You must have heard not very long ago from now, I think at least 10, I think, yeah, 10 years or more ago, we had this viral email going on. I think it was the I love you mail or something like that, that as soon as somebody opened that mail, their entire computer crashed or it was being tapped on. So that is an example of a malicious software. Phishing, a crimeware technique to steal the identity of a target company to get the identities of its customers. Okay, the customers in a company that subscribe or register on the website, that list is very critical. And as a business provider, as a business owner, your job is to protect that data. Failure to protect that data could work against you. You could be you could be charged for fraudulent activities. So you need to be very careful of the phishing activities happening on your website. Basic e-commerce, security issues and landscape. Risk, okay, that's a risk. Anything that you have risk. There are many places, that many websites that will calculate the kind of risk you have posed on your website, and they will give you an evaluation report, and many red flags will be shown, and your website will be marked with those red flags and those red flags will actually explain what the risk is associated with that point and how you can solve it. So there are many services that let you do that, but as a rule of thumb, the best thing to do is to hire a security and forensics and security service provider, most preferably your hosting service provider, which is competent enough and warns you and protects you without you knowing about it. I mean, you don't have to know about all these technical details if you have an electronic commerce business, but what you do need to know are the key terms, and it's so that you can talk to the security service providers. Social engineering is a type of non-technical attack that uses some ruse to trick users into revealing information or performing an action that compromises a computer network. Okay, It's a non-technical attack. So it's like a social engineering is, you must have seen, and a good example is the how many times have we had messages from our friends on Facebook that were not our friends, but it was like someone's account was hacked and they posed as your friend and they talked to you about something, and you were surprised that what is this friend talking about, what's wrong with the friend. So that's a good example of social engineering. Okay. Spam is the electronic equivalent of junk mail. We all know what spam is. In the spam box in your inbox where all your junk mail is situated. Then you have basic e-commerce security issues and landscape vulnerability, weakness in software or other mechanism that threatens the confidentiality, integrity, or availability of an asset. We call the CIA model, in which it can be directly used by a hacker to gain access to a system or network. So vulnerability is the susceptibility or the ease with which others can attack you as a business. Zombies, computers infected with malware that are under the control of a spammer, hacker, or other criminal. Okay, so zombie computers are zombies are like dead people that are still walking. So zombie computers are exactly like that. Zombies are computers infected with malware that are under the control of a spammer. Okay, the electronic commerce security battleground. You have attacks, targets, and defense. So attacks are the cyber crimes. Targets are the points of where the cyber crimes are acted on. Defense are the combat actions against these attacks. So attackers' method is intentional criminals, unintentional natural disasters, malfunctions, and human errors. These are the attacks. Targets are hardware, software, procedures, email, equipment, networks. Okay, people. Defenders and methods. Defenders, software, hardware, prevention, detection, deterrence, punishments, remote backup, email defense, business continuity controls. So system user defense, and then you have non-technical defense like regulations, policy, strategy compliance, privacy protection, cost benefit, spam protection, spyware protection, vulnerability assessment, all of these. And defense mechanisms help in recovery, and the policies and regulations are actually the legal system that enforce the defense systems. All right. So this is the general electronic commerce security battleground. So as a business provider for Scrumptious Indulgence, I know that I'll have a lot of customers who will subscribe for rewards on my website, who will share their details for online classes and purchase cakes, and they will also make an online payment through the payment gateway and enter their credit card numbers and everything. So as an electronic commerce business with a shopping cart included, I am a vulnerable business. Okay, and I can be attacked for many kind of activities like phishing, from phishing to anything, spamming and everything. So what I need to do is I need to have some policies and procedures in place so that I can protect myself legally and I can sue people if they're caught. Very important. Okay, so which is why we did the policies and procedures page, to protect ourselves from any kind of fraud activities. If anybody is ever caught, any name ever comes up, you can sue them in court based on your policies. If your policies are not in place, it's going to be very hard to recover the money or your losses back from the offender. So which is why you need to have the rules and regulations and policies and procedures, and have people check to agree before using any kind of features on your website. Okay, up next is the threats, attacks, and attackers. Okay, you have unintentional threats, intentional attacks, the criminals and methods. Okay, let me show you something what happened to my business. Okay, the unintentional threats. Okay, I had a business called UAE National Games. Okay, UAE National Games, that's my business. Okay, this is the business that I have, and in this business I had this account is associated, this business account, this website is associated with UAE National Games at gmail.com. Now let me show you something really funny in the Gmail page. This is the Gmail business page, and check this out. Account details for ADECPCGOB at UAE National Games. Okay, I have a Jom Social. I have a social account which I just closed recently, and a new user has registered at UAE National Games. One Union, one Team Spirit. That's the byline. One Union, one Team Spirit. This email contains these details. Name is this guy. Check this out. Anybody? Nobody has a name like that. And email address is this. This is also a bogus email address, and username is the same as the name. Okay, and I know that this is spammed up. This guy is a robot. It's not a human being, and I've had so many. Check this out: 4,450, and out of 4,450, at least 4,000, and I've deleted so many in the past. So many requests for registrations which I've never accepted. Check this out again, CCV34J48. Okay, just look at the trend. These people, okay, these people are all trying to bombard into my system. They are trying to register, and they're trying to create bogus accounts into my system, so that they can use information, and they can use any kind of data that is already in my system. And I've already combated against it. I have removed the Jom Social account. Okay, and check this out again and again. You will find OI9UI. It's a randomly generated code number. All of these. Okay, and look at this. This is a Chinese number. It's not even something that I can understand. And I have plenty of stuff like this. Okay, now check this guy out here. Cloud Access is my web host service provider, and I have just been asked to complete this credit card payment on the 11th of July. That was yesterday, day before this video was being made, and the amount due is $150, and this is for managed SSL service or dedicated IP address service. Okay, what is SSL service? Secure Socket Layer Service. Okay, and this service is very important for my payment gateway, and I have to make this payment within the requested date to be able to maintain the SSL layer. If I don't have the SSL layer, the site would go down. If there is no security applied to this layer, the government of UAE will not let the site go up. Okay, so you need to understand the importance of such kind of securities. So you just saw the unintentional threats that we had, some kind of a robot, some kind of a malicious malware was capturing my subscriptions. Okay, the slots for my subscription, even though I don't have any limitations, but still I need live people to subscribe, not robots to subscribe. And the reason why they were able to do it is because I did not have the CAPTCHA. And so many other security threats. I was vulnerable, I was at risk, and hence the attacks happened. So what was my defense? According to this guy here, the diagram here, what was my defense? I cannot sue anybody right now, but what I can do is have some kind of a spam protection, a spyware protection, vulnerability assessment system going on. Okay, let me show you a vulnerability assessment system. Okay, I did a search for website vulnerability assessment report, and I found several businesses who would do it for me. Okay, pen testing assessment, and I have this guy here, vulnerability assessment, Skybox security. What they would do is see what you've been missing, try Skybox for free. These people, what they do is they will take, okay, it will give you a security analytics platform. If I put my business up here, last name, company name, business email, phone number, all of these things that I put up, okay, and they will also ask for my website. They will evaluate my website, okay, and then provide me a report, analytics report, and they will tell me what kind of risks, exposure, and attacks I have my website has been through. And they will also, if I pay them, they will also combat those attacks for me, so that I do not receive horrible messages like these. Okay, there you go. You have a perfect example in front of you to show you what kind of risks are associated in an e-commerce website. Okay, so let's stop this video now, and I'm going to continue further in the next video. Till then, take care. Bye bye.